It's totally illegal, but they do it anyway. And it has to stop. Every one of the court cases that I'm involved, every single one, civil, whether it's the attorney generals or the district attorneys, you look at...
That was former President Donald Trump addressing the nation from his Mar-a-Lago residence while the Supreme Court takes up the very important issue of whether or not he can remain on the ballot in Colorado. Recently, he asked the court to overturn the Colorado Supreme Court's ruling that kept him off the presidential primary ballot to the fact that he was part of the January 6, 2021 coup attempt. But apparently, instead of really addressing that, he's going to go down a list of grievances before actually praising his Supreme Court.
In watching the Supreme Court today, I thought it's a very beautiful process. I hope that democracy in this country will continue. Because right now we have a very, very tough situation with all of the radical left ideas, with the weaponization of politics. They weaponized it like it's never been weaponized before. It's totally illegal, but they do it anyway. And it has to stop. Every one of these cases you see comes out of the White House. It comes out of Biden. It's election interference, and it's really very sad. I thought the presentation today was a very good one. I think it was well received. I hope it was well received.
I thought it was a beautiful process. I hope democracy in this country will continue. Wait, this is the same guy who said he wants to be dictator for a day. And by the way, Republicans, 74% of them, according to a recent survey, were like, yeah, we're cool with that. Democracy, suspend it. Get rid of it. I mean, for a day, right? Just do it for a day, become a dictator, and then we'll get everything that we want. Well, that's not democracy. And also trying to steal the 2020 election from the legitimate winner, President Joe Biden, that's not exactly democracy either. It's kind of the problem here. But anyway, I'm not surprised that he's praising the Supreme Court because he thinks he owns most of them anyway. And look, he might be right because it turns out the Colorado argument is not being received well. Shocker, right? Shocking that, for example, Justice Clarence Thomas, who is married to someone, Ginny Thomas, who, kind of part of it, that whole, coup thing, attempted coup, hasn't recused himself and is siding with Donald Trump on this issue, of course. That said, his legal team's argument, Jonathan Mitchell, his lawyer, says that it's not the state's job to enforce the ban on people who do insurrection from running for office, but it's Congress's job. Oh, yes, the Congress that can do absolutely nothing. Right, yeah, it's their job. Sure. Mitchell also argued that the language of the prohibition keeps an insurrectionist from holding office, but not from running for office. Oh, so he can run for it. He also argued the president is not covered by the ban to begin with. The law is clearly on our side, he said. Wait a minute. What good is a law banning insurrectionists from running for office if it doesn't actually ban them from running for that office and doesn't cover the highest office in the land? That wouldn't make any sense. And the plain reading of the law, again, doesn't make sense. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment bars those who previously swore an oath to uphold the Constitution but engages in insurrection from holding federal or state office. Okay? Following a week-long trial, a Colorado judge ruled that Trump's words and deeds leading up to and on January 6 was in fact covered by that constitutional prohibition and that Trump had engaged in insurrection. The Colorado Supreme Court agreed with the finding, but then ruled that the trial judge had erred by deciding that the presidency is not among the offices covered by the 14th Amendment. So basically, the plain language of the bill said officers. And so, officers. Obviously, doesn't cover the office of the president. No, wait a minute here. Okay. Look, for me, I think it's, I have an originalist point of view, right? That Trump is ineligible to run for office. Sorry. He's an insurrectionist. But anyway, the court, however, unfortunately seems to be siding with Trump. As I mentioned, Clarence Thomas, but you also have Samuel Alito. That said, there are legal experts that are saying even the liberal justices are not on board with Colorado and their legal arguments. In fact, former federal prosecutor Andrew Weissman said Colorado will lose, with the only issue being whether a single justice will dissent. Tough and smart questions by the justices, including 3 in the liberal wing. The Nation's legal analyst, Ely Mistel, agreed, saying the case is submitted. I think it's 9-0 Trump on the ballot. I'm going to scream into the void and then write, thank you all for joining me on yet another journey of how democracies die that took an unexpected detour into why Democrats fail. My bet, this is University of Texas Law School professor Steve Laddick. My bet between 7-2 and 9-0 for the very specific proposition that states can't unilaterally disqualify candidates running for president on the grounds that they engaged in insurrection. Then we have former acting Solicitor General Neil Katyal, argued that Colorado team did not appeal to the exact language of Section 3, arguing that their arguments get the court out of determining whether or not Trump had committed an insurrection, and instead will be able to use technicalities to keep him off the ballot. So none of that, of course, is good news. I don't know if that will be the case in this, but it seems like Trump, well, he's pleased with how this is going, which is why he took the time to rattle off all the other disastrous court cases that are going on, because it seems like this is the only one that seems to be going his way.